I'm Dr. Angie Stower, and this is Female Curiosities. You might have guessed by the lovely decor behind me that I am at the hospital today. I'm on call tonight, and when I got here, a couple of the nursing staff in labor and delivery were talking about something that I consider a little bit concerning. We've had a little rush of patients in the last few months or so that have had problems identifying their own vulvar anatomy. In fact, several of them have asked how a baby is going to come out when there is a Foley catheter in place. And I did confirm with the nursing staff, it wasn't that they thought the Foley catheter may be impeding descent of the fetal head, but actually blocking it. I find this concerning because I think it's important for you to know where all the holes are in your general bottom area. I also think it's important for you to know your vulvar anatomy. And the reason for that is, I think it's important for you to be able to consent. One of my good friends, Dr. Celeste Holbrook, who you can find on drcelesteholbrook.com, that's drcelesteholbrook.com, she says, as a PhD in sexology, that it is impossible to consent when one is unfamiliar with what they are consenting to. Ergo, if you do not know your vulvar anatomy and are unfamiliar which hole a toy, finger, penis, or whatever else you may be choosing to have sexual contact with is going, that is a concern. So I'm going to teach some vulvar anatomy today so that you, my dear, are able to consent in the future. This is my favorite prop, perhaps ever. This is my velvet vulva. I do call her velvet. This is actually made out of velvet, which I think is cool, as well as silk here. The reason I like this prop so much is because as a pelvic and sexual pain and sexual dysfunction specialist, a lot of my patients are very, very nervous about their nether regions. They're uncomfortable with it due to religious background, upbringing, sometimes it's cultural, but the plastic models scare them to death. This is unassuming. It's soft. And they're not afraid to touch it and handle it and manipulate it. And to top it off, it's a puppet, which I really love. This is made by a company called Vulva Puppet. So you can go on their website if you would like to own one of these beauties. And I like this very much because the anatomy is actually really correct in here. So let's go through this. This is the big lips, also known as your labia majora. And these are the small lips, or inner lips, called the labia minora. This is the clitoral hood. Underneath it, you will find the clitoris. And this here is meant to represent the urethra. This is where pee goes in, or goes out, and a catheter goes in. This down here is the vagina. This lovely little hole here. This little ribbon here is meant to signify rugae, which is the ridges inside the vagina that allow it to be very distendable. You can also kind of see the material sort of makes that kind of idea there as well. Now, for those of you who are curious, the rectum is down here, and the little space between the bottom of the vagina and where the rectum is called the perineum. Popular culture like to call that the taint. It ain't here, it ain't there, it's the taint. Anyways, when you are having a Foley catheter placed, it is going in here through the urethra, and speculums, fingers, toys, penises typically go inside the vagina, and occasionally, albeit not speculums, go inside the rectum down here for sexual pleasure. So 3 holes, one you pee from, one you poo from, and one you have sex with. This hole here is also where the baby comes out. So indeed, a catheter in this hole will not block the baby's head from coming out. Now, it may, to some extent, impede the fetal head from descending into the canal, because the catheter goes through a tube up into the bladder, and then we blow up a little bulb at the top of the catheter, and that little bulb can kind of sit up inside the edge of the urethra and kind of push into the vagina just a little bit way back in here. But that does not block the baby's head from coming out. If a baby's going to come out, a baby's going to come out. Sometimes we'll remove that right as the baby's crowning just so the head easily slides under it. But there's your vulvar anatomy. Make sure that you start looking down there. In fact, I would recommend, as a sexual specialist, to take a handheld mirror. Probably not your phone, not a great idea to have pictures of your vulva on your phone, but take a mirror and put it down there and look. See what your anatomy looks like. Everybody's anatomy down there is just a little bit different. Vulvas and lips and clitori come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. No, if your vulva is dark purple like this, I would be a little bit concerned. This is not a normal vulva color, but it is the color of royalty, which is why I purchased this particular color. So take a look with a mirror, see what yours look like. Different size lips, different size clitorises, different size perineums. Everything may look just a little bit different down there, but try and identify your anatomy. And in my opinion, it's not ever a bad idea to poke around down there a little bit so you know what that part of your anatomy feels like on touch. So in the future, whenever it's time, or even in the now, you can consent to somebody else being down there. If you guys have any questions or comments, please message down below. Also, click the subscribe button right down there so you never miss any of these awesome educational videos from yours truly. Also, like me, that's super helpful, and share me with your friends. I have more awesome videos coming up, and I will start getting a little bit more juicy down the line with my educational purposes.